We're back live, my friends, and I'm going straight to your phone calls, but I really do want to hear from you about the designed, perpetrated depression we're entering. They now admit it's a depression, but the bigger question is, how do we reverse this depression, and how bad is it going to get? You agree with me that total collapse is imminent when all over the country they're laying off large portions of the police departments? They're telling employees that you're going to be paid minimum wage now that work for state government. The federal government's growing and increasing their wages. The federal government is engaged in a bankruptcy by design, just like banks repossess your home, just like they hope you won't make the payments or hope you won't make payments on the farm. It's the same thing for our nation. And that's what we're discussing here today. Let's go to Bruce in Michigan. You're on the air, Bruce.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, my friend. I'm still alive and kicking.
Right on. Everything you said is true, yes. And the depression that is coming is going to be worse than anybody could ever conceive about 29. Because I would say 85% of the people in this country are not prepared. You know, they don't, I mean, even back in the old Depression, you know, my grandparents, I'm from New Jersey originally, would tell me, we grew food in the flower pots. You know, people would grow food up on the roofs of their homes if they had flat roofs, you know. And with kids today, especially in the last several generations with the dumbing down with television and entertainment, they wouldn't even begin to know how to survive if they had to.
Well, that's it. I mean, and actually the number's higher than 85. The government estimates 90% are urban and are not self-sufficient. Less than half of the 10% that are rural are self-sufficient. So if you had 90% that were self-sufficient before and millions that starved to death and increase in crime, what's going to happen now with this decadent population? Well, the government thinks they're going to come to the system and say, we'll do whatever you say. We'll accept wars, tyranny, anything. Just give us our entertainment. Give us our six-pack of beer. And that's why the globalists are doing this, so they can sell the public on a new way of life and total collectivism. That's why they're breaking us by design. That's in the IMF and World Bank plans. And the bigger issue is then, what are we going to do about it as they take all these domesticated jellyfish and put them on the rocks, basically wreck them, and then point these hordes of dumbed-down slobs at those of us that are self-sufficient?
Well, I think what you have to do there, and I meet with a group of people on every Thursday night. We watch your videos, other videos on this type of subject matter, and everybody's pretty well self-sufficient in our group. We feel that possibly what you're looking at is maybe getting one state or a couple of states together in an area that just remove themselves from the union, and we start from there.
Well, I mean, listen, 36 states are already saying, we're just going to nullify all these federal taxes because you take our money and you send a small portion back with strings attached. We can't survive. And so that's why the globalists realize they're going to try to break the states, but they've got the John Warner Defense Authorization Act that they stated is to suppress the states and the governors and the legislatures. And so that's why they're preparing another Oklahoma City bombing to blame it on the states' rights movement, as I've been saying for over a year. Now even the globalists are saying they may stage an Oklahoma City event and blame it on us. So we've got to be ready for that. And I want to tell the controllers something, and they're not stupid, they already know this. The public's going to know it's you that carries out the terror attack. You may fool some of the people, but it's not going to be the majority like you did in 95 or 2001. And so we've got a fighting chance, but that's why before they stage it, it's so important to get the word out now, because if we get the word out to a great enough level, they may back off and not stage it, or, that's the best case scenario, but there's three scenarios. Best case is they don't do it because they know we're on to them. The second best scenario is they do it, but we've woken up so many people, it backfires on them to the fact that it's a staged event. And, of course, C, the worst scenario, the people buy it, the globalists win. That's why it's vital to reach out to police and military now and to show them the paradigm so they're wise to it. God bless you. Appreciate the call. Anything else, Bruce?
Could I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And the only reason I'm even bringing this up is because when this event went down up here in Michigan recently, you were directly drug into this. And I work in a bookstore. I'm not going to name the store. Karl Rove was in there signing about a month ago. And, all these Reaganites and, all these people that think like that were in there getting their autographs from his book. And in the middle of this whole thing, I'm watching this guy. He's about 6'7", and he's got a big burly voice, and he just starts cursing at Karl Rove. Go back to Bilderberg, go back to the Bohemian Grove, you SOB, this and that. And then he drug your name into it. He's screaming at everybody in this room, you all need to watch Info or listen to InfoWars. You need to listen to Alex Jones. And what he did was he turned the whole thing around, because all of a sudden all these old ladies are going, God bless you, Carl, we love you. And then I heard several of them going, who's this Alex Jones? He sounds like some kind of a troublemaker. He ought to be arrested and thrown in jail. Well,
Stay there. I want to hear more. Sound staged.
In the heart of the resistance, you're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Unfortunately, this is the heart of the resistance. If you had to mark the landscape of the world and the resistance against tyranny, it'd be Ron Paul, Alex Jones, and a handful of others. That's why we need your prayers and support. Now, this may have been a fellow in Michigan who was simply upset and fed up by his state being destroyed. Karl Rove now poses as an anti-New World Order patriot by setting himself against Obama, who's continued everything Bush did, and Bush himself was just a puppet, and so is Karl Rove. He's nothing compared to a Zbigniew Brzezinski or a Henry Kissinger, but he is more powerful and important than a George W. Bush. But we do need to be stern and focused and serious, but cuss words and things like that are not needed in public events, and it does make us look bad. But the guy might have been a Fed, might have been a provocateur, or it may have been real. But finish up, Bruce, with your story at the bookstore in Michigan.
Well, the only thing I wanted to say about Alex is when that type of event goes down like that, here you've got these old ladies who never even heard of you and probably think we're all a bunch of lunatics. And, for me to hear several of them going, well, this Alex Jones should be arrested and people who think like him should be arrested, that doesn't do a lot of good for our cause.
But it's not really the fault of the guy, even though it sounds like what he said was a little out of taste. It's their fault for having a mindset about we need to arrest people that are mean to our precious Karl Rove. I mean, all he did was call him an SOB?
Oh no, it was worse than that. It was. I won't even give you the initials.
Oh well, then that sounds like it probably was staged.
Let's talk on the terms of like Andrew Dice Clay giving a live comedy performance. Okay, that kind of language. But he was bringing up the Bilderbergs and he was bringing up the Trilateral Commission, and that was all cool. And he told him, go back to Bohemian Grove, you sick.
So how did this end? Did they drag him out?
Oh, they had to escort him out of the store. And when this was going on, and the thing was, he was so, he was a Grizzly Adams type size guy, and with a big booming voice, so that was even more intimidating to these poor old ladies. But the whole thing is, yeah, you're right. They do need to wake up themselves. But for a guy to come in like that, if it was staged, naturally they were taking shots at you. If he was being passionate about it, I'm just saying maybe the listeners need to calm down a little bit. Bruce, I hear you. We've got to be very wise about what we do. But going back to Karl Rove admittedly planted a bug in his own office during a Texas campaign to blame it on their political enemies. He does do little mini false flags. The police have been caught from Greece to Canada to the United States, in the news. I mean, Denver just a few years ago attacking their own officers in front of news cameras dressed as protesters. So that could be staged. I mean, what do we know has been staged against me? Within 3 hours of Joe Stack flying his aircraft reportedly into the Echelon building in North Austin off 183 with the Stack attack, the Austin American-Statesman and the New York Daily News said that I was praising it. When before my name was even in the news, an hour and 10 minutes after it happened, I was on air that day. It happened about an hour and 10 minutes before I got on air. Happened at about 9:55. I'm on air at 11. So I guess less than an hour and 10 minutes to be technical. I went on air and I said, you watch, they're going to blame this on me, and it looks like this is staged. And sure enough, that happened. Now, remember, within 2 hours of Richard Poplawski in Pittsburgh killing the 3 cops in cold blood, it was all my fault, and he was my fan. We search engines at his name and his handle. He was all over InfoWars and Prison Planet saying I was a horrible piece of garbage that worked for Israel, which, of course, isn't even true.
and that I was evil because I'm not for violence. And, of course, it came out he'd visited thousands of websites and attacked me on scores of them. But when they got into his computer, they instantly came out and said it was my fault. And now David Frum and other Bilderberg Group members, we'll in fact put his image on screen if we can. David Frum, just in the last 2 months, has written several articles. Just search engine Alex Jones, David Frum, saying I'm this big dangerous enemy, that I'm bad, that I've got to be dealt with. So it is creepy. I mean, it is creepy that the Southern Poverty Law Center, the ADL, they've got me at the top of their hit list because I won't do what their minions do. It has come out the Southern Poverty Law Center infiltrated and was running the Elohim City white supremacist compound that McVeigh was in. That's come out from lawsuits and declassified FBI memos.